Well, let's talk about another kind of visa. It's the education visa. I mean, this is a gateway into Australia as well. A lot of foreign students, save up enough to enrol in some cheap course at TAFE or one of these fake private colleges, and then spend the next 3 or 8 years clogging up the system applying for permanent residency. Isn't that a bit of a loophole, Dan?
Well, once again, the government seems quite happy to see this happen. They've got a report, the Nixon report, which looks at some measures that could be put in place to stop this happening, and yet they're sitting on that report. And I think Claire O'Neill's now had it in the drawer of her desk for 3 to 4 months. And that could deal with that issue. It could deal with the issue of people coming by plane and then seeking asylum, failing in their approach to actually seek asylum, but still, there's 102,000 of these people now waiting for the government to do something about saying to them, well, sorry, you can no longer be here, and we're going to deport you unless you go voluntarily.
Sorry, Dan. I just want to interrupt you there. Yeah. You said 102,000 people. Those people are asylum seekers, aren't they?
They are. Well, they're not asylum seekers. They sought asylum and then failed. So they came on legitimate visas by plane. Then once they got here, sought asylum, they then were told, no, you have no grounds to seek asylum. And now they just stay here. And, the government isn't doing anything to say to these people, well, if you don't leave, then we'll remove you. So you've got the issue with students exploiting the system for the wrong reason, to come here and basically to try and work and then stay. You've also then got the issue with these failed asylum seekers, and once again they're just here because the government won't act, and they've got a report which gives them recommendations as the sorts of things that they should be doing, and they're not doing them.
Where are these failed asylum seekers from? I mean, I'd have to say that they can't be the most trustworthy type of people. They've flown into the country, sought asylum. I mean, they can't be in that much danger if they were able to just get on a plane from wherever they came from, and then they've disappeared. I mean, I'm no immigration expert, Dan, but they sound like pretty untrustworthy people to me, and now we don't even know where they are.
Well, we want everyone, when they come to Australia, to abide by the law and abide by the requirements of their visa. And if you come here legitimately on a legitimate visa and then you apply for asylum and then you fail in that, well, then you should meet your visa requirements. Now, once your visa's finished, you should leave the country. And the government should be ensuring that that's the case. And they've got a report which shows that this issue can be addressed. As a matter of fact, it was addressed in Canada. And but the government is just sitting on that report. It won't release the report. And meanwhile, what we're seeing is every month, people are coming here by plane, and then we're seeing those people try and seek asylum, failing in that effort, and then are remaining here. So the government does need to act.
Well, they're just rotters, Dan. Well, I mean, compare that to what we saw last week. You probably saw it, sensational footage out of South Africa. Economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema, and a stadium full of people in South Africa chanting "kill the Boer," by which they mean kill white people. Do you think we should take in some of the white South African farmers, Dan?
Well, look, I didn't see that footage, so I really can't comment on it. But I'll make sure that I do have a look at that. But I didn't see it last week. We had a parliamentary sitting week, and I was
fair enough.
What was happening here. But one of the things that we always have to do with our migration system, and the way that you do it effectively, it's non-discriminatory, and you've got to make sure that in most instances, what you're looking to do is bring young skilled people in to fill those skill shortages, because that's the best way you add to the capability of your nation. From our point of view, from a coalition's point of view, we want a better Australia, not Labor's big Australia. And, that's what we're busy looking at. What are the policies we need to be put in place to make
a better Australia it's a good objective. One quick question before we go. The overall sort of concern a lot of ordinary Australians have about our immigration policy is how much diversity we can handle, how much we can tolerate, for want of a better word perhaps. Dan, is diversity our strength or not?
Well, we've always based ourselves on having a non-discriminatory immigration policy, and I think that's something that we need to continue to pursue as a nation. But the important thing we need to be looking at is, as I mentioned before, is that skills mix, making sure that we've got young, skilled people filling up the majority of the people who come to Australia, because that way it adds to our nation, and that's what we want. We want that better Australia, not Labor's big Australia. And when, we get back into government, that is what we will be pursuing, not this approach that Labor has, that it just seems to be all about numbers, getting as many people in as they possibly can and creating this big Australia. For what purpose? I think a lot of people are asking and shaking their heads, because there doesn't seem to be one other than let's just pursue Labor's big Australia approach.
That's a good point. It's better to bring in the skills that we need than to bring in students who wind up as Uber drivers. Tehan, Shadow Minister for Immigration, thank you.
Been a pleasure.